thing, I've got 2 sales on Mercari. First thing that sold was this Dixie Winnie the Pooh cup dispenser. Y'all, this has been listed forever on eBay. And it finally sold on Mercari for $12. And then this Jellycat Blue Odyssey, the octopus plush. I just picked this up at the Asheville Bins. So I might have less than a quarter in it because it was itty bitty. And it sold very, very quickly on Mercari. There was a time that I used to only list my stuff first on eBay. And then I'd wait a week, you know, because more than likely it was going to sell on eBay. If it was going to sell quickly, it was going to sell on quickly on eBay. And then I would cross-list it. These days, with Nifty, I'm just filling in all of the screens. And when it gets listed on all the appropriate platforms. And so this one I had just listed this week, the week that it sold, for $23.96. And then Poshmark, I've got nine Poshmark to share with you guys. First thing, now some of these are old listings and I'm just throwing all of my old stuff on Poshmark, even if it's $10, which means for Poshmark, if you sell something for under $15, the fees are $2.95. So technically I made $7.05 on this Cabbage Patch Kids brown horse plush. But again, these are my old listings and I'm glad to make anything and make them gone. This one was even worse. This is a vintage Wesley's Quaker made 2 decks of playing cards. Took a best offer of $7. So technically I made $4.05 on this. But again, these have been listed years. All right, Pillow Fort. Pink Dino weighted plush. Let me tell you a story. Now this Pillow Fort dinosaur actually sold on eBay. But they didn't pay. And I didn't notice that it was cross-listed, but I just assumed that this person would pay very quickly and I'd let Nifty do the delisting.
Which it does a great job of doing that.
I've had 0 issues with it. Delist. I mean, even things that you have multi-quantity on. Totally other story. But 2 days later, it sold on Poshmark also because I hadn't taken it down off of Mercari and Poshmark. And so I was in this limbo land. You know, 2 days, are they really going to pay for it? Don't know. But so I didn't cancel any of the orders. I just kind of waited it out. And literally the second that I could close out this item, the 4th day, which was already 2 days into Poshmark's sale, I canceled the order and was able to go ahead and ship it Poshmark. So lesson learned for me and anybody else who's cross-listing. You know, eBay is the only one that does this where they don't have to pay right away unless you have it set up for immediate payments. And I might consider that at some point. But if it sells, make sure you go check the other platforms. At least get it delisted, deactivated, until you figure out if they're actually going to pay or not. All right, these next 2 items were a bundle on Poshmark. I sold this Lilo and Stitch angel plush and this elephant plush with corduroy ears. Both of them I took an offer of $25 for. Have a whole lot of tabs to share with you, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll start splitting my videos again for the weekend versus throughout the week sales. Normally, you know, before January, I used to do 2 videos a week, Monday through Thursday, Friday through Sunday. But my sales have been so awful that it wasn't worth doing 2 different videos. So for several weeks now, I've been doing these 1 video. But finally, y'all, there's quite a bit of tabs here to share with you. And there's quite a bit of non-eBay sales to share.
I'm looking. I'm not counting, but it looks like the non-eBay tabs are about 50% of the eBay tabs.
You think?
Yeah, it's like 2 eBays for one of the other tabs. But and that's abnormal for us. We normally don't sell a lot, but I think a lot of you've done a lot of cross-listing.
Tons of
And
cross-listing.
I think having Nifty alive in the background, sharing and renewing things on the platforms is doing wonders for our accounts there.
Yes.
I think it's making a big, big difference.
Oh, I didn't even do your store yet.
Oh, well, she'll add some more tabs to this, y'all.
We'll have even more. I forgot to do Robert's store. And you know, it only made me think of it because we had put stuff in his Poshmark and Mercari store, and they've just not been selling until we started Nifty. And then now even he has sold a few things, even on Mercari, which, you know, we're still in Mercari jail as far as not being able to do more than 100 listings. But how many have you sold now?
Not very many, because I need to change it out for the stuff that's in my store to make our life here on the back end a little easier.
Yeah.
If you're interested in trying Nifty, we have the link down in the video description there. We think it's made a tremendous difference in our life. Somebody commented, I can't remember who it was, said having Nifty is like having a full-time employee that you don't have to pay a full-time salary to. And it's saving you pretty much 7 hours a month just in end and sell similar. So that's like a day of her life back every month that she could pamper me with instead of working.
And once, wait a minute. I'm the semi-retired one. I need to be pampered now.
You've been pampered the whole time we've been married, so get over that.
But what I was going to say is, once I get everything cross-listed, I'm going to have hardly anything to do anymore. Release, 5 to 10 listings every day, other than spending a couple of hours, maybe a week taking pictures. I'm going to be not knowing what to do with myself. But that's a good thing because I'm semi-retired, right? All right, let's get back to it. Loveberry baby boy doll plush sold for $15. Poshmark again. Little Tykes dollhouse stable fence lot. I picked up a bunch of these at an estate sale. I want to say I paid like $0.25 each. And I had a lot of 4, a lot of 3, and a lot of 2. And this was the last lot. And I took an offer of $17 on Poshmark.
We have a haul video coming up for y'all where we went to an estate sale and half price day with eBay prices. It was crazy. Well, we actually found a few things there, but yeah, it was kind of crazy.
New company for us. We'd never been.
Probably won't go back.
All right, Build-A-Bear Vanilla Swirl Lamb Plush with the cute little bathing suit sold for $40 on Poshmark. And last but not least was this Tanha Brown Goose Plush sold for $26. Etsy. Lots of stuff before we even get to eBay. No, I was going to say this might be my best one, but it's not. I have a better Etsy sale to share with you. My Saucy doll. Went to an estate sale just because I saw this doll in the pictures. This was the only thing I bought that day. Paid $10 for her, but I had picked up 3 of these previously at another estate sale where I paid $20 each for them. And they all sold very well. This one had some condition issues, which I've taken close-up pictures and stated it in the description. She still sold on a 10% sale, so it'll be $89.95 minus 10%. I'm not running my sale this month on Etsy. I had been, and my sales have been amazing still on Etsy, so I might start, maybe weekends only do a sale, or, during the week only do a sale, but I don't think I'm going to keep doing constant sales on Etsy. Garfield Odie dog plush also sold on a 10% sale. Ty Pluffy's Grazer, the black and white cow plush, again sold on a 10% sale. These were all at the end of January. I never even mentioned this. This is for last week, or the week of January 26th through February 1st. So all of these were somewhere before the 1st. 101 Dalmatians Lucky Puppy Dog Plush sold for $19.95. Here's another really nice sale. This is Gund Clancy Bear Plush was also a collaboration with Pottery Barn, and it sold $69.95. And then this, y'all, this sold so quickly. I just knew it was quality. I want to say I paid $8 for it at an estate sale recently. And come to find out, it was an Ashton Drake Yorkie Dreams plush, which makes sense because they had tons of Ashton Drake dolls there. I used WorthPoint and just kind of picked a price point. I think there was one that had sold for over $100. Mine was in such really nice condition. Threw a price on it of $149.95, and it sold almost immediately on Etsy, less 10%. So I think like $134 or something like that. But yeah, on a plush on Etsy. And then this, I know, started February 1st. This did not sell on a sale. How this was sitting over here on a shelf. I thought it was a tool. I thought it was something Robert had picked up and had set aside that he was going to take to the building, until I asked him and he said no. And then I looked on the bottom of this and it was marked Manalo Blahnik, which I know the name as a high-end clothing retailer. And it was an aluminum shoehorn. Never would I have ever. But once you look at it, yeah, but I mean, it was long, really long for a shoehorn. Listed it on all 4 of the platforms. It sold immediately, same day, February 1st, on Etsy for the $70. It had some wear, some marks on it. Didn't have a box. I guess there was a box, which is why I priced it a little bit less than everybody else, but it sold immediately. Still Etsy. Still. This was a Cleveland Indians mascot. I guess his name is Slider. Plush from 1998. Sold for $14.95. And last but not least, this was a quick sell also. This is from Golden Bear Toy Company. It was a bear, like, guard, like almost like a tin soldier looking plush, but it was exclusive to AFES, which is the Armed Forces, like, exchange where you can go buy stuff when you are in the military. And it sold very, very quickly also on Etsy for $19.95. And then eBay. All right, Thomas the Train Trackmaster figures sold for $13.50. Now, none of my stuff is free shipping, so when I say something sold for the amount that I state, the buyer also has paid shipping. This next one was an Easter Village resin set. Very cute, real little stuff. Sold for $39.95. Aurora. I like Aurora. This was one of the larger plush. A sloth, sold for $8.95. Old, making it gone. All right, this was from that large lot of Playmobil that I finally processed last year. These were just miscellaneous fence, posts, jails, doors, just kind of, I didn't know what to do with it, so I just threw them all together. Sold for $25. Octonauts. Funny thing is I picked up some more to add to this lot, and then this lot sold, so they're sitting over there waiting. These were just miscellaneous figures and creatures and pieces and parts to some of the vehicles. Sold for $24.25. Team Umizoomi. This is Geo. It was a 3-inch figure, and it sold for $17.95. Nickelodeon SpongeBob SquarePants plush lot with Plankton and Squidward. These were all picked up at the bins at the same time. Smaller plush. So I don't even think I would have had maybe $1.25 in them. And they sold for $25. More of the brass. Don't have a whole lot left, but there's still enough. I can't wait till that container gets emptied out. But this was like a little ginger jar, sold for $10. These sold very quickly. These were the Ultra Temp plastic utensils that Robert picked up. We paid $8, I think, for this set and like $6 for an amber set. I think I sold the amber set, didn't I?
I can't remember.
Maybe, maybe not. They may still be over there. But the purple set sold very quickly. Took an offer of $57 for them. Definitely keep your eyes out, especially at estate sales and stuff, for these vintage plastic utensils. Fisher Price Little People, Minnie Mouse, and Daisy Duck. These sold for $11. Just make sure there is a Donald and Daisy Duck set. Their arms are more out like this. They've been recalled. I can't remember why. Just make sure if you find a Daisy or Donald, you know, they're not the ones that are recalled. Maybe I'll have Robert throw a picture up here of the two that you should not try. Your listing will get taken down because they were recalled. I always make sure, I think they're like 2011 maybe. I'm probably wrong, but I always make sure I put the date if I'm going to list a Daisy to make sure that they realize it's not the recalled, because, you know, a lot of that stuff's done by bots. Russ Troll Baby Doll, just little blue pajamas. Sold for $9.95. Picked up a bunch of fridge magnets. Probably not something I'm going to pick up again. I was standing in line at a fill-a-bag estate sale last day, and they had a bunch of magnets, and I just kind of filled up my bag with them. But they've taken a long time to sell. They finally sold for $9.95. I think I still have others. Wish Pets. You know, for the most part, I like the brand, and I'm not quite sure why I've got a 7 sitting out there in front of the word stuffed. But usually they're like bread and butter for me, but this particular one did sell for $17.95. I bought a bunch of Build-A-Bears thinking that I was going to sell them on Whatnot, and then I've changed my mind yet again about Whatnot. Come to find out, some of these older ones with the older tags sell for a lot. For me, you know, a plush that sells for $40 is a lot for me. This Panda Bear, I had a Panda Bear and I had something else. Can't remember what the other one was, but the other one I listed for like $80. But this Panda Bear ended up selling very quickly for me, less than a month, for $40. I'm going to take this red writing off so I can show you which tags I'm talking about to keep an eye out on. Right here. This one. Stuffed with Love, Build-A-Bear. Yeah, keep your eyes out for them. Character plush, I pick up a lot. A lot of them are going to be like this one. Bread and butter. This was the Michelin Man. It was by Douglas. Sold for $8.96 in a little over a month. Commonwealth Labrador Dog Pillow Plush, 27 inches long. A lot of times when they're that big, I just go ahead and add the word pillow also. This one had been listed about 4 months, 5 months. Took a best offer of $55 for it. Minnie Mouse figure lot had the Figaro cat in it. Sold for $10.
Everything I know about opera was learned with like Figaro and whatnot on Looney Tunes. That's where my classical music and my opera education comes from, y'all.
All right, Fisher Price Learn Through Music cartridge. I had several people only wanting to buy one of them. You know, sometimes I'll play that game, but on this one I just decided I would wait to see if I could get somebody to buy both of them. They'd only been listed about 3 months, and they sold $24.25. Kenner Star Wars Mookie Ewok plush sold for $16.25. Commonwealth Dino Snores Dino-Mites Dinosaur plush from 1986 sold for $26.95.
Say that 3 times real fast.
I know. All I keep thinking is Dynamite with
J.J. Walker?
Yeah,
Jimmy Walker?
Jimmy Walker, yep.
He played JJ. His name was Jimmy.
Oh, all right. Mud Pie What was the name of that show?
Good times.
Good Times. Yep. Mud Pie Pink Rabbit Plush sold for $13.45. Fisher Price. I should have used the words fun with food. Didn't. Pink skillet and some utensils. Just kind of was a hodgepodge. I think, at first I had one listed and then I found some more and I just keep adding to my listing till it sells. This sold for $17.95. E&J Classics. Now, I did a video on that a couple of years ago. That's definitely a brand to be looking for, especially for the larger kind of life-size plush. Some of them sell for hundreds. So you might, go in. I may do another video here this year on it again, just as a reminder. But just because it's large plush, make sure you go look at the tags to see if it definitely could still be worth picking up. This was a leopard jaguar plush, sold for $20.96. Hobby Lobby rabbit plush, 3 different colors. I just decided to keep them together in a lot, $14.20. Again, most of the things that I sell, unless I tell you it's from an estate sale, they're bins pickups. And like for the bins in St. Louis, which is the one we go to quite often, it's $2.09. If it's from Asheville, it's $1.89 a pound. So, we don't pay a whole lot for most of our inventory.
This year, you're going to hear a lot of, we bought this at a yard sale because they're going to be good this year. They're going to be really good this year, y'all. Before you go to the next one, we got just a few weeks here before the Peaches to Beaches yard sale. Anybody going to that? We haven't made up our mind yet. I'd like to. I had fun last year.
Yeah. But we won't go at the beach. We won't start at the top of Georgia. We're going to start at the middle and just go down. There was just large expanses of area that had nothing. Yeah,
at the Peaches to the Beaches, at the Peaches part, at the very beginning of it, there was a little bit there in that first town, but then there was a long expanse where there wasn't much at all. So we would go to the next town, and I cannot remember the name of that town. There's an Air Force base near it.
Yep, that's all I can remember too. But if you're going, let us know. Valentine's Bear plush lot. All of these were from the store Schnucks. I had never heard of it. Finally sold. I mean, they've been listed a couple of years. $18.50.
It's not a cheap grocery store in Missouri, in the St. Louis area. Yeah, it's kind of, a little more upscale than your typical Gerbs or Kroger or whatever we have there.
Bunnies by the Bay. I love that brand. Most of it's bread and butter. This was a little chicken, and it sold for $11.66.
Naming those grocery stores brought back an odd memory for me. Back in the day, there was a grocery store called Gerbs, and it's actually part of, I think, it's part of Kroger. And is it King Super or something that's out in Colorado? They're all kind of part of the same chain. They're just named differently.
Conglomerate.
Yeah, something like that. That might be the word. And I used to go over. They had taco salads on Wednesday. I'd go over every Wednesday at their deli department and get a taco salad, and I'd pick them up for other people. And my boss asked me one day, he said, "What else do they have?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me look." We're talking late 90s, so, fairly early in the internet days. So I said, let me look. Maybe they've got a website with their menu on there. So I type in thestorename.com, which is what you do, right? Mm-hmm. It was a site, y'all. Wait, I can't say that word. It was an adult site, y'all, with lots of things, just pop-ups all over my computer. Fortunately for me, my boss was standing there and knew exactly what I was doing. Yeah, it was kind of a embarrassing moment there.
Mm-hmm. All right, Garfield cat plush. Just decided to put the two together. Neither one of them was going to sell for a lot by themselves. But these sold very quickly. Less than a month, $10. Dakin, cute little bear with the tourist outfit on. Sold for $13.45. And last but not least, on my eBay was this Chosun Big Feet Husky Dog plush. From JCPenney, sold for full price $59.95. Robert's store. All right, he sold 3 things on Poshmark. First was this Cuddle and Kind Rabbit Boy Knit Plush, sold for $16. Then this Interpur White Rabbit plush sold for $25. And this sold very, very quickly on there. These are the Disney Nuimos, Mickey Mouse, and Daisy Duck, sold for $26 also. And then he sold one on Mercari.
Hey,
and it was a good one.
if I sell 3 more things, I'll be at 5, and then I can list more stuff.
Yeah, you can list up to 500 things.
Yeehaw.
All right, first thing, well, the only thing that sold on Mercari during this 1 week period was this Maison Chic Fox plush, sold for $69.95. And then eBay. First thing that sold was this vintage men's Buy American Great Union t-shirt, sold for $9.47. Now, y'all just have to remember, a lot of this stuff is the old stuff that I transferred out of my store. We're getting ready to get new stuff listed and cross-listed, but we've just been kind of trying to get through a lot of this older stuff, get it sold, send out offers, mark it down, because a lot of it's been listed for a while. Then we sold these Levi's 550 men's jeans, $10.96. Now, all of this is plus shipping. Vigos women's bootcut jeans sold for $13.50. Nemesis sportswear jacket, it was personalized, sold for $31.21. Can, not a brand we will pick up. Maybe flared, maybe, but the skinny jeans just do not sell for us. So glad to see this gone, $7. Another bad buy. We probably will definitely be checking comps for any and all jackets that we pick up. It takes so much space, and a lot of times because of the weight, they just do not sell very well. This had been listed for several years. Robert ended up taking an offer of $12. Calvin Klein women's size small coat.
And we have, the way we store our clothes is in like basically small size Walmart boxes. And I can fit, depending on the items, if they're all jeans, I could probably get 10 or 12 pairs in a box. So you're looking at 40 or 50 on one of these shelves back here. And I can get 2 baskets with maybe a total of 10 things. If they're like these coats, maybe 10, because they're big and bulky. Mm-hmm. So it just, 40 or 50 compared to 10 things that are this big, it doesn't make sense for us to buy a whole lot of large things unless they're worth a lot of money.
Yep. That's the plan. All right, Eddie Bauer women's pants sold for $17.32. Chico's Weekends black top sold for $17.71. Yeah, the estate sale we went to this weekend, new company we had never been to before. Most of their clothes were 25, 30, 35, not cents, dollars. I saw dresses that were $80. We were there on half price day, so even a Chico shirt was going to be $14. No.
The company, their van was outside. They're a home organization. What was it? Was it home organization or something like that? They help you get organized. So I'm not sure if they're going to do more of these or if this is something they were just doing to help somebody out. I'm just not sure, but they need to at least look into the pricing around here because that stuff was just way overpriced for the most part.
Yep. Jag women's jeans sold for $16. Wrangler women's, the series I guess was called Cash jeans, definitely had vintage look to them, sold for $14.70. Duluth Trading Company women's jeans sold for $12.46. Wrangler men's Performance Series jeans sold for $22.21. And last but not least, this Izod golf sweater was men's, sold for $14. All right, that's what's selling for us right now. I'm hoping sales continue to be really, really great in these other platforms for us, but I hope eBay at some point gets me off the naughty list and lets me start selling more. Y'all, I didn't say this at the beginning. For like the 4th time now, I'm saying I had my all-time lowest day ever sell on eBay during the 7-day period.
But it was a decent 7-day period for February, because February, end of January, February is our slowest time of the year historically. That's just the worst part of the year as far as sales for us.
Mm-hmm. But thank goodness for these other platforms now. If you're not cross-listing and you are just a little
Perturbed?
Yeah, you're a little perturbed, not happy with the way your sales are going, on eBay, consider using Nifty and start cross-listing. All right, time to get to work. Bye.